Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie and today we're going to work on page number 1 for a wedding album that I'm working on for a colleague. And for this album, we're going to use the binding system that I began using in the last album that we did at the end of season 2, Hello Again. For this album, the base page is going to be 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. And I'm going to use 110-pound cardstock for that. So let's go ahead and cut this. I'm going to set this aside, and we've got a couple of flaps that we're going to cut from 65-pound cardstock. The first one is also going to be 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, and this is 110 pound. Not sure how I ended up grabbing that. The second flap is going to be 3 1/4 by 8 3/4. So we're going to trim the long section here down to 8 3/4 first. And then we're going to trim this down to 3 1/4. Then the next piece is going to be 6 1/2 by 6 1/2, and that's going to be 110-pound cardstock because that's going to be a photo mat. And then the next piece is going to be 7 1/4 by 7 1/2. Cut this down to 7 1/4 by 7 1/2. And the next piece is going to be 1 by 7 3/4, and we can use one of these narrower strips here. And we're going to need another piece at 7 1/4 by 3 1/4. Let's see if this is going to work. Oh, that's going to work just fine. So we're going to cut that down to 3 1/4 and 7 1/4. And I need another piece at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to make this 110-pound cardstock. So we're going to cut this down to 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And we're going to need one more very thin piece. It's going to be 1 inch wide by 2 inches long, and we're going to go a little bit over 2 inches. We're going to go 2 1/8. Okay, so that should be all the cutting that we need to do today. Let's set these pieces aside, and we're going to grab the scoreboard and start scoring. So this little piece, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch and 1 5/8. So basically it's going to be an inch wide with a little bit of wiggle room. Bend those over. This 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, we're not scoring that. This 7 1/4 by 3 3/4, we're going to score the 3 3/4 inch. Oh, that's 3 1/4. Oh man, we have to trim. So it's 3 1/4 by, or 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. We're going to trim this, or score this, not trim this, at 3 inches and 3 1/4. And then this piece here, this is going to be a band, and we're going to score this piece at 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to fold this under, and we're going to score this at 6 3/4 inches. This next piece, this is 7 1/2 and 7 1/4. We're going to score the 7 1/2 inch side at 7 inches. And 6 3/4. So it should be 7 1/4 that direction. Yep, perfect. So now this is the tag, which we're not scoring. This piece is 3 1/4 by 8 3/4, and this is going to be a pocket. So we're going to score 1/2 inch. And okay, this is a vertical pocket, so we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Then we're going to fold this side under and score at 7 3/4 inches. And this piece is 7 3/4 inches squared. We're going to score one of these sides at 7 1/4. And here is the base page. This is 7 3/4 inches, so we're going to score this at 7 1/4. And again at 7. So this is the new way that I've started binding my albums. It helps them lay a little bit flatter. All right, let's start creasing everything, and I'm going to put you guys on fast forward. So if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. I release new videos. Let's see, I'm planning to change up the release schedule, so I think it's going to be every Friday and Sunday, but it is 2 videos a week. And it is all mini album themes, so if you're interested in mini albums, how they're constructed, designed, etc., please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you get notified when new videos go live. So the next step is going to be to take this, what was this piece? So the next step is going to be to take this 3 3/4 by 7 1/4 piece, and we're going to glue this to the top here, and I'm just dry fitting it to make sure it's going to fit and looks good. We might only get to the front part of page or fin number 1 today, and that's fine. We'll see how far we get. Next part is we're going to glue this piece, which is, this is the 7 1/4 by 7 1/2. We're going to glue this down to the bottom. Oh, and I'm going to taper those edges, especially this edge, because we're also going to be mounting a pocket right there underneath these flaps. So we definitely want to eliminate as much bulk as we can. Now I'm going to have to remember that this is the bottom. This piece is the pocket. We are going to do a deep miter, which means that we're not going straight across. We're going a little bit wider than that on these corners. And we're going to taper the open edge. Just to reduce some of the bulk, since it's going to be sitting on top of a tab here. And it's going this way. I almost had a moment there. A moment of panic. And one of the problems that the recipient might run into, depending on how I do the matting for this page, they could have issues pulling or putting inserts into the pocket. It could get caught on the tab here. So I may do a full mat all the way down, or all the way across, since this is going to be a horizontal opening. This is top, bottom, so pieces will go in like that. All right. Next thing to add is going to be this band, and this band is going to go right here in the center. So let's go ahead and glue that down. It's going to be part of the closure. Actually, you know what I'm going to do first before I do that? We are going to glue this little strap here to the back. Where do I want this? I want it to be able to go down far enough that it's going to release. Should be good right there. All right. Okay. So we're going to thread this piece through this strap on the back, and that's why we added that extra 1/8 of an inch to the width, so that we had a little bit of wiggle room. this strap to the flap that's glued to the bottom. I'm just eyeballing roughly the midpoint. Roughly the midpoint horizontally. And now to finish the closure here, I'm going to add a magnet. Probably should have added a magnet to the back, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to add a magnet to the back of this little 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 mat. So let's see where we want to do this. I'm going to eyeball where I want this to be. And that should be good. And now I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to drop it directly. Wow, that magnet is way off center. Normally I would flip it over, but this should work, because if that is the North Pole on this side, that's the South Pole, that's the North Pole, and it's going to, yep. All right, let go of my finger. Now I'm going to position this where it's pretty straight and pretty much where I want it. Perfect. So that is the closure for this page. Now, actually, the page is a little bit crooked. So let's fix that. And now it's not wanting to cooperate with me. So let's get new tape. All right. So let's get that page, these two pages aligned. And that's situated about where I want it, straight. There we go. All right. Now all of that is just a flap. It's going to go on the base page. And this is a mat that's going to go in here. And all of this is going to mount right here. So let's go ahead and we're going to taper . The easiest way to add this is going to be to open everything up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do page 2. And to start with page 2, I want to cut the pocket page pocket, and that's going to be 7 3/4 squared. So I'm going to trim this down to 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Actually, you know what? I just messed up. So that actually needed to be 7 3/4 by 8 1/4. No, it is 7 3/4. So I did not mess that up. Oops. 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Nope, I did mess that up. Trim this down to 8 3/4 by 7 3/4. Now we're going to need 2 pieces cut to 4 3/8 by 7 3/4. Let's cut this down to 7 3/4. Now we're going to go with 4 3/8. We need 2 of those. And we will need 2 more pieces cut to 3 5/8 squared. I think we can probably use one of these. Nope. I bet we've got a scrap in here we can use. And we're going to cut this, I'm going to split this. Okay. And we need 1 piece that is 7 by 7, and that's going to be 110-pound cardstock. And we're going to need several pieces at 6.5 by 5. So I'm going to cut, I think, I can get 8 pieces out of this. So. Right, these pieces, I'm gonna set these aside for just a sec, as well as this piece. These 2 that are 4 these are 4 3/8. We're gonna score these at 3 7/8 and 3 5/8. And these two pieces, we're going to score each side at 1/2 inch. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to dry fit these. You know what, I think I want these to be a little bigger. So I'm gonna take this larger piece and I'm gonna cut this down. I want probably another inch that way. So these need to be 4 5/8 by 4 5/8. So let's try this again. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Yep, that is exactly where I want that. So we're going to score this one at 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. That's all good. Now the rest of these are going to be a waterfall, obviously, and we're going to score these at 4 1/2 inches. So I'm going to put you guys on fast forward for that. Alright, the last thing to score is the pocket page, and we're going to score the 7 3/4 inch side at 7 1/4 inches, and the 8 3/4 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to fold this under, and I'm going to score this at 7 3/4 inches. Now we should be done with the scoring. I'm going to do a shallower miter on this piece because we're not going to be mounting anything inside it, or I'm not going to be doing any matting, and I'm going to glue the bottom tab to the back of the two side tabs. And I've got a little bit of extra glue right there. Don't need all that glue. And I probably shouldn't have gone as deep as I went on that side, but it's okay. Burnish all that down. Make sure that glue's got a good connection. And so this is interesting. I didn't notice this until just now, but this whole page is about 1/4 inch longer than the base page. That's okay. We can deal with that. Actually, this is 1/4 inch too long as well, so let me trim it down. So That needs to be 7 inches. So now we're going to crease these two 4 and what were these measurements? 4 3/8 by 7 3/4. And I may have to trim these down as well. I'm going to do a shallow miter on these and a deep miter on this part of the tab. And we're going to glue these tabs together. And repeat on this tab. Now we're going to glue these to the front of these 4 3/8 inch sections. I may have to trim this again. Let's see how well it's going to fit on here. Yeah, I need to trim about 1/8 of an inch, so like right where the edge of those little pockets are. And that did not trim straight. Looks like it's going to be a little bit over the line. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I need to trim a little bit off of that piece in order to get it to fit. So we went down to 6 3/4 inches squared. And the last thing, where the hell did you come from? All right, last thing is to add the waterfall to the center, but I'm gonna hold off on that until we have matted everything. I'm gonna go ahead and crease. Crease everything. And that's going to be it for today's video, folks. I'm going to set this page aside. The next video is going to be pin number 2, which will be pages 3 and 4. So if you like this video and want to get notified when the next video goes live, be sure and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. If you've got a question about the page today, leave me a comment in the description box down below. And all the materials for this album are going to be linked. Leave me a comment in the comment section. All the materials for this album are going to be linked in the description box down below. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. We'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.